Greetings of the day. Today I am going to take the session on Factory Act 1948. The session content is applicable to BBA, BCom, MBA, MCom students. The objective of the session is to find out what are the objectives of Factory Act, what are the amendments taken place in the Factory Act from 1881 to 1948. How the regulations are framed and what are the regulations for the benefit of the workers of the factory. The conclusion of the session would be having the clarity of the Act, find out what are the prohibitory laws and awareness regarding the punishable acts. Along with this, the benefits taken in the legislation of the Act for the workers' working conditions. Factory Act, the first and the foremost act in India, passed in the year 1881, Act designed for the protection of children for their health safety measures. Though the Act found inadequate and unsatisfactory regarding the health, safety and the welfare measures for the workers, the Act reinforced with revised legislation under the Factories Act of India, which results into Factory Act 1948, came in force on 1st of April 1949. The Act extends to whole of the India, includes state of Jammu, Kashmir, extended to UT of Dadar, Nagar Haveli, Pondicherry, Goa, Daman, Diu and so on. I hope it is clear that what is basically the Act. The objective of the Act. After all, what are the objectives of this Act? The objectives is to consolidate, amend the law, regulate the workers working in the factories, protect the workers employed in factories against the industrial hazards, secure for the workers employment conditions conducive to health safety, safeguard the interest of the workers, protect them from exploitation as per the standards regards to the safety. Now, if anyone asks you that what do you understand by what are the definitions of occupier, let me explain you briefly. Occupier means factory, the person who has ultimate control over the affairs of the factory. Factory owned, controlled either by the state government, center government or by the association of individual or by the group of individual, that is said as company. That is, as per the section 2A, this is your occupier, means the control holder of the affairs of the factory. Firm. What is said as firm? Firm where the association of the individual or one of the individual further deemed to be the occupier. Company which is the association of the people or where any one of the director deemed to be the occupier. Factory owned where in that factory owned the group can be the group of directors can be the occupier. Now let me explain you that what is actually factory. A factory as per the section 2M, where 10 or more workers working together work in a day of a preceding 12 months, right, in a manufacturing services or carried out the aid of power or so on, though are said as the part of the factory. factory where 20 or more workers working on the day of the preceding 12 months in manufacturing process or carried out without the aid of power, or where 20 or more, or where we can say not only 20 or more, but where in a premises 10 or more person engaged if the power is not used in manufacturing process, that is also here said as factory. Now let me explain you who is after all the worker. After all, who is said as a worker? One person who employed directly or thoroughly through the agency, including their contractor, or with or without the knowledge of the principal employer, where remuneration or not in any manufacturing process or in the cleaning any part of the machinery or any kind of work incidental or connected to manufacturing process is known as worker. Now, if anyone asks you what are the obligations of the worker, obligations of the worker is willfully intervene or interfere with or misuse any appliances, convenience other than provided in the factory, the purpose of securing the health, safety and welfare. Number 2, willful and without reasonable cause of doing anything likely to endanger himself. Number 3, willfully neglect to make use of any appliance or other thing provided in the factory for the purpose of health and safety. Now, after this, it is very important to understand that as per the provision of the section 111, the person he shall be punishable with the imprisonment of the term extend to 3 months and the fine extends to 100 rupees or both. So, if any worker is employed in a factory contravenes of these provisions. Now, let me explain you in brief the rights of the worker. The rights of the worker is, number 1, to obtain from the occupier, means the owner, the information related to the worker's health, safety at the work. Number 2, train them wherever it is possible. He is responsible. Number 3, occupier responsibility and as well as the right of the worker is to present to the investor or to the inspector wherever the inadequate provision regarding the health, safety provisions in the factory are there. It's very important to explain all these things. Now, if anyone asks you who is inspector, who is inspector and what are the authorities of the inspector? So, inspector is the one person vested the power for the administration of the factory, right? And he applicable provision as per the law of the factory, right? And the appointment, who appoints that? The appointment of the inspector is by the state government, right? State government. And state government may also appoint a chief inspector also. Here the state government appoints the inspector, that person who possesses the qualification of inspector, that is simply a BCom. Whereas the state government may appoint the chief inspector in addition to the powers conferred with the chief inspector. And number 3 is the additional chief inspector may be appointed by the state government. Now let me tell you what are the powers of the inspector as per the section 9. See, the powers of the inspector is again within the local limits. The power of the inspector is, and where enter any place which is used or which he has the reason to believe use in the factory, for that the assistance of any person is in the service of the government or any local or the public authority or of any expert. Number 2 is that here the power is to examine any premises, plant and machinery, or any factory. His right as well as the power is to inquire any accident, dangerous occurrence of the worker health, or any bodily injury or the death of the worker. He has the authority and the power to ask for the production of the facts and figures in front of him, ask for any register or any document in front of him. He has the right to seize, right to get the copies of the registers, right? So he has all these